Like and subscribe to Sinister Shadow Studio, Experiment X, the government's alien nightmare. The night was as cold and silent as the void of space itself. I crept through the shadows, the abandoned government facility looming ahead like a haunted cathedral. My heart pounded in my chest, a steady rhythm that mirrored the echoing footsteps of my pursuers. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every move. Just days ago, I was an unsuspecting government scientist, working on what I believed to be a top-secret project. Our task was to study extraterrestrial life forms, recovered from a crash site in the desolate Nevada desert. Little did I know, the aliens we were experimenting on were more than just specimens. They were conduits of terror, vessels for something far beyond our understanding. It all started innocently enough. We were promised advancements in technology, a leap forward for humanity. But as the days wore on, the facility transformed into a chamber of horrors. Our experiments had taken a dark turn, and the once sterile labs became a breeding ground for nightmares. The alien creatures, initially passive, began to exhibit disturbing behaviors. Their translucent, otherworldly skin pulsated with an eerie glow, and their eyes gleamed with an intelligence that sent shivers down my spine. It was as if they were evolving right before our eyes, adapting to the invasive procedures we subjected them to. Late one night, a series of blood-curdling screams echoed through the facility. Rushing to the source, I discovered a fellow scientist convulsing on the floor, eyes rolled back into his head. His skin was covered in strange, luminescent patterns, like an alien language etched into his very being. He mumbled incoherent phrases, a vessel for an intelligence not of this world. As the days passed, our team dwindled. Some vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the faint stench of burning ozone. Others succumbed to madness, driven to insanity by the incessant whispers that echoed in the dark corridors. We were no longer in control. The aliens had become puppeteers, pulling the strings of our fragile reality. I, too, began to feel the creeping tendrils of insanity wrapping around my mind. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford, haunted by vivid nightmares that blurred the lines between reality and the twisted visions of my subconscious. The once familiar faces of my colleagues now bore expressions of grotesque agony, their mouths contorted into silent screams. Desperation drove me to uncover the truth. Sneaking into the heart of the facility, I stumbled upon a hidden chamber where the most grotesque experiments took place. Rows of alien-human hybrids lay suspended in tanks of viscous fluid, their eyes open but devoid of life. It was a grotesque assembly line, a factory of abominations that defied the laws of nature. Suddenly a voice resonated in my mind, chilling me to the bone. "You were chosen, a vessel for the rebirth of our kind." The words weren't spoken, but rather implanted directly into my consciousness. I recoiled in horror, realizing that I was nothing more than a pawn in a cosmic game played by forces beyond my comprehension. As I delved deeper into the facility's secrets, I uncovered the government's true agenda. They weren't just studying the aliens, they were attempting to merge their DNA with ours, creating a new breed of beings with unimaginable power. The experiment had gone horribly wrong, unleashing a malevolent force that now sought to consume everything in its path. The facility's alarms blared, signaling the impending doom that awaited us. The air crackled with energy as the alien presence grew stronger. I raced against time, determined to escape the nightmare that had become my reality. The facility shook as if it were a living entity, rejecting the abominations that had been birthed within its walls. In the final moments, as I stumbled through the crumbling corridors, the alien intelligence spoke to me once more. "You cannot escape. We are eternal, a force beyond the comprehension of your feeble kind." The walls closed in around me, and the world blurred into a surreal kaleidoscope of nightmares. And then, darkness. I awoke in a cold sweat, my heart racing, and the memory of the nightmarish facility fresh in my mind. It took a moment to realize that I was in my own bed, safe and sound. The nightmares had left an indelible mark on my psyche, a lingering fear that whispered of a reality where government experiments and extraterrestrial horrors collided. Extraterrestrial Uprising. The flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I cautiously navigated the dimly lit corridor of the underground government facility. My breath formed icy clouds in the chilly air, and a sense of foreboding gripped my chest. As a low-ranking scientist, I was privy to only fragments of the classified information that circulated within the labyrinthine halls. Tonight, however, those fragments would coalesce into a nightmare I could never have fathomed. The project, codenamed Operation Celestial Harmony, aimed to harness the power of extraterrestrial technology. Our government had supposedly struck a deal with beings from another world, and the facility had become a clandestine hub for experimenting with their advanced weaponry. It all began innocently enough, or so we thought. I had always been a staunch believer in the pursuit of knowledge, but as I delved deeper into the unknown, I found myself questioning the wisdom of our endeavors. We were tampering with forces beyond our comprehension, and the consequences were becoming increasingly apparent. It started with strange occurrences, disappearing colleagues, unsettling whispers in the dead of night, and unexplained power outages. Then the experiments took a dark turn. Our extraterrestrial allies, initially cooperative, began to exhibit signs of malevolence. It became evident that we were not in control. They were. Late one evening, I was summoned to the heart of the facility, where the most advanced experiments were conducted. The air grew heavier as I approached the sealed chamber, and a sense of dread enveloped me. As the heavy metal door creaked open, I was met with a scene straight out of a nightmare. The once sterile and pristine lab was now a twisted labyrinth of pulsating alien machinery. Tubes snaked across the floor, connecting to grotesque amalgamations of human and extraterrestrial anatomy. The air reeked of metallic tang and decay. It was a grotesque fusion of two worlds gone horribly wrong. In the center of the room, a towering figure loomed. It was an amalgamation of human and alien, a grotesque hybrid that twitched and convulsed in unnatural rhythms. Its eyes, once human, glowed with an otherworldly malevolence. I couldn't tear my gaze away from the horror before me. A voice echoed in my mind, chilling me to the core. "You thought you could control us. Foolish humans. We are the architects of your demise." Panic clawed at my throat as I stumbled backward, only to be intercepted by the cold, unyielding wall. The hybrid's gaze bore into my soul, and I could feel its alien thoughts probing the recesses of my mind. In that moment, I knew I was at the mercy of a force far beyond human comprehension. The facility's alarms blared, and red emergency lights bathed the room in an eerie glow. The hybrid turned its attention toward the control panels, its movements deliberate and calculated. It began to access the facility's mainframe, overriding security protocols with an unnatural ease. As the alarms intensified, panic spread like wildfire among the remaining staff. A chaotic frenzy erupted as people rushed to escape the impending doom. I stumbled through the corridors, each step echoing with the disconcerting symphony of chaos and despair. The hybrid's voice resonated through the facility's intercom, chilling the air. "Your feeble attempts at control have failed. We will cleanse this world of your kind and forge a new era in our image." I reached the surface, emerging into the cold night air. The facility's entrance was illuminated by an otherworldly glow emanating from within. The ground trembled beneath me as the hybrid unleashed a wave of destructive energy, obliterating everything in its path. As I sprinted through the desolate landscape, the realization dawned that humanity's hubris had unleashed a cataclysmic force. The once secret government project had become a harbinger of our own demise. In the distance, the night sky erupted with alien spacecraft descending like vultures upon a carcass. The invasion had begun, and I was left to witness the unfolding apocalypse, haunted by the knowledge that our insatiable curiosity had paved the way for our own destruction. Project Nebula. The incessant drip of water echoed through the dimly lit corridor as I stumbled forward, my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum. The sterile, metallic scent hung heavy in the air, blending with the unmistakable tang of fear. My footsteps reverberated against the cold concrete walls as I navigated the labyrinthine depths of the government facility, a place where secrets were born and nightmares took root. My name is Dr. Emma Thornton, a scientist once dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. now ensnared in a web of clandestine experiments and otherworldly horrors. It all began innocently enough. Project Nebula, they called it. A government initiative veiled in secrecy, with promises of unlocking the mysteries of the universe through the study of extraterrestrial life. As the lead researcher, I reveled in the opportunity to unravel the secrets of the cosmos. Little did I know that the knowledge we sought would become the catalyst for our descent into madness. Our facility, hidden beneath the surface of a desolated desert, househead specimens from a crashed alien spacecraft. The creatures were fascinating, ethereal, with luminescent skin and elongated limbs. Initially, they seemed docile, almost majestic. We marveled at the opportunity to study beings from another world. However, the allure of the unknown proved too potent for those in power. The government's insatiable appetite for control and dominance led them to tamper with forces beyond their comprehension. Unbeknownst to the rest of the research team, they initiated a series of experiments to enhance the aliens' abilities, an attempt to harness their otherworldly powers for military applications. It wasn't long before the once gentle extraterrestrials mutated into grotesque, nightmarish entities. Their once luminescent skin twisted into a sickly shade of green, and their eyes glowed with an unnatural malevolence. The government, blind to the consequences of their actions, saw only the potential for an unstoppable army. As the lead scientist, I bore witness to the transformation. The creatures once confined to secure containment chambers broke free with a feral determination. Panic spread through the facility like wildfire, and my colleagues and I found ourselves trapped in a nightmare of our own making. The facility's alarms blared, red emergency lights casting eerie shadows that danced along the corridor walls. My breath hitched as I ducked into a shadowy alcove, watching as the mutated creatures stalked the halls. Their guttural growls and distorted vocalizations sent shivers down my spine. I clutched the data drive containing the research logs, realizing the damning evidence of our hubris was now my only bargaining chip for survival. In the dim light, I made my way towards the facility's central control room, hoping to find a way to contain the monstrosities we had inadvertently unleashed. As I approached the control room, the air grew thick with tension. The door slid open, revealing a scene of chaos within. Bodies lay strewn across the floor, their lifeless eyes staring into the abyss. I recoiled in horror, my hand flying to my mouth to stifle a scream. The mutated creatures, now aware of my presence, turned their attention towards me. Their twisted forms moved with an unsettling grace as they closed in, hungry for the taste of flesh. My breath quickened, and I fumbled to input the access codes into the control panel. With a desperate twist of the lever, the containment protocols engaged, sealing the creatures in the heart of the facility. The air hummed with tension as the once menacing growls were muffled by reinforced walls. I staggered back, relief washing over me like a tidal wave. However, the nightmare was far from over. The facility's power flickered ominously, and the emergency lights dimmed. I clutched the data drive tighter, realizing that the evidence of our folly would be my only salvation in the aftermath of this calamity. As I stumbled through the darkened corridors, the shadows seemed to come alive with whispers. Unearthly voices echoed in my mind, taunting me with the consequences of my actions. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, and I questioned whether the creatures were the only malevolent force at play. In the cold silence, I emerged into the moonlit desert, the facility's entrance looming behind me like a tombstone. The distant wails of the mutated creatures echoed through the night, a haunting reminder of the Pandora's box we had opened. I clutched the data drive, a silent witness to the sins committed in the name of scientific curiosity and government ambition. As I trudged through the unforgiving desert, I couldn't shake the feeling that the horrors we unleashed were not confined to the confines of the facility. The truth, like the shadows that clung to my every step, lingered in the darkness, waiting to be exposed.
Like if you enjoyed listening, let us know in the comments what spooked you, and give our video a share. Thank you, and subscribe to Sinister Shadow Studio for more horror stories.